How much time do you think it would take in your day to reduce your chance of death or cardiovascular issues, cancer, whatever? If I had to say to you, give me a number of minutes.
The first thing that comes to mind is probably what I've heard from doctors where it's 150 minutes a week, or you'll hear like an hour a day kind of thing.
4.4 minutes of VILPA. VILPA is basically just exercise snacks in a different way. Vigorous, interspersed lifestyle, physical activity. Okay. They saw 4.4 minutes of this versus people who did none reduce significantly chances of death, cancer, all of this. So what's VILPA, right? People are like, what are you talking about? Like, what does this mean? What's VILPA? Mm-hmm. So that just means like rushing. So I could be rushing to walk to the bus very fast. I could take 3 flights of stairs very quickly 3 times a day, right? 60 steps, maybe give or take. Do that for 4.4 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, interspersed throughout my whole day. That could reduce my chance of dying.
From CareCredit, it's Care Experts, a podcast where we dive deep into the health and wellness industry with the professionals that make it happen. I'm Erin Treloar. Fitting in a workout every day? Ooh, it sounds great in theory, but in reality, life gets in the way. I know I've had those days where I barely move or I skip a workout and then I feel sluggish and stiff and just off. But what if you didn't need an hour at the gym to stay active? Enter exercise snacks. Think of them like little fitness tapas, small and satisfying. And today we've got the perfect expert guest to break it all down. Joe Holder. He's a Nike master trainer, GQ fitness columnist, masterclass instructor on fitness and wellness fundamentals, and the founder of the Ocho system, a training philosophy that blends fitness, wellness, and mindset. Joe's trained top athletes and celebrities, but his biggest passion is making movement accessible for everyone, no matter what their fitness level or schedule. Joe, welcome to the Care Experts podcast. We're so thrilled to have you here.
It's me. Thanks for having me.
So I feel like the way that somebody exercises or the way that they don't exercise says a lot about them. And I thought we could start off with a couple of hot take questions. My first one, if you could only do 3 exercises for the rest of your life, what 3 exercises are you doing?
All right. First off, good question. Running or walking. I think locomotion, don't take that away from me. Okay. So I'm probably a little bit of a cheat there. Pulling exercises or climbing. I think that's fair.
That's right? Fair. Wait, what are you climbing? Are you climbing something, or is
like
it more
tree.
just like okay, climbing trees? So we're running, we're climbing trees. We are off to a good start here.
So because I could finesse it in different contexts.
That's true.
And then the third one would be like lunges and lunge variations.
Yes.
I think those are, squats kind of get a little bit boring. Deadlifts, I could just pick up stuff, but lunges, there's a lot of ways you could tweak it.
Okay, love this. Now, on the flip side, if you, if there was an exercise that you knew was really going to give you a lot of bang for your buck, but you never wanted to do it again, what would it be?
Bulgarian split squats, back leg elevated split squats.
Oh.
Absolute pain, but they are one of the best exercises out.
Okay, so we're cutting that.
Nobody likes it. Anybody says they like it, they don't like it.
They're lying. Yeah. So we're running, we're lunging, and we're climbing trees to start this off. All right. You came up with a genius idea called exercise snacks. Mm-hmm. This is what you've taught your masterclass in.
Yes,
and I absolutely love it. Where did you come up with this idea? Tell us all about exercise snacks.
Yeah, I'm a big thank you. I'm a big believer in like how Seth Godin goes about his work is like, paying respects to the OGs. For me, I was just early diving into research where I found something that I thought was interesting. And then I wanted to apply it at the right time. And luckily, because of who I worked with, Naomi Campbell during COVID, she always wanted to go live to do exercises. To take a step back, though, I stumbled upon the concept of exercise snacks based on this study in 2012 where they actually called it doesn't sound as good. They called it fractionized activity, which is not, it doesn't roll off the tongue.
Not going to remember that.
And one of my professors in college, this guy, Jonah Berger, to make things contagious, you got to make them sticky. Yes. That was his thing.
Yes.
But then in 2014, there was another study that actually coined the term exercise snacks, and it stuck in my head. And I was like, this makes so much sense, but the time wasn't right for it. This was like the sweat till you drop, 2010s, the hit revolution type of thing. But for me, playing the sport at Penn, playing football, coming out, I always looked at it a little bit different. So I just kept it in the back of my head. And since I was so busy, I would use exercise snacks, and my clients, as they were so busy, I would tell it to them. Then I publicly put it forward in a GQ article, maybe in 2018, 19. And then when COVID hit, I basically launched kind of like a little online social media page based around exercise snacks. I was doing a lot of work with Naomi, and then other people get them involved. And then I just kept up with it. And then, other people started to also look into the research, whether it was, Huberman's, Rhonda Patrick, all of Dr. Patrick, all of them. But yeah, I just came up with it, looking at the research, being early to it, and publicizing it a little bit different. And then luckily, Exercise Snacks by Joe Holder became a thing.
Oh, I love it. So for somebody who's listening right now and they're like, what are you talking about? What is an exercise snack?
We're talking about hummus. We're talking about protein shakes.
What is the easiest way of explaining it to someone?
Easiest way to think about it are brief moments of interspersed activity, usually done outside of the gym, that can have beneficial impacts. Now, some people just often think that means just high intensity exercise. That's not really the case, although there is some benefits to that. But it's really about need, non-exercise activity, kind of thermogenesis, and then looking at how do I put that into my day in ways that are easy, that don't necessarily have to be in the gym. So that's kind of the quick summation.
When I think about my view on exercise growing up, it was this idea that you had to go to the gym and you would do 30 plus minutes of cardio.
Yeah.
Then you would throw in some weights on the machines, do a stretch. Then you would go home. You'd have to shower. You'd have to get home. The whole workout would be a 2-hour process. And I work now with clients where nobody has 2 hours in their day to get a workout in, or very rarely. And so it just doesn't happen. But when I hear about this idea of exercise snacks, I got to wonder, is it as effective as that workout that I just described?
Where'd you grow up?
Vancouver, BC.
So if you look at sometimes other cultures, like my mom's West Indian, my dad, he's a holistic doctor, MD, but it was introduced to so much different cultures. If you look at different cultures, like exercise isn't looked as that. It's just movement.
Yes.
Right, go run around the block, go for a walk, get your morning stretches in. What do you look at? Whatever, Tai Chi. Like I live in New York, Lower East Side. You go to Chinatown, you see them moving in the morning. It's not real exercise, right? West Indians approach it a little bit different. So that thought, but alluding to your thought process of what are we actually trying to do with exercise snacks? What does it make it interesting? What makes it interesting is now we are looking at exercise specifically for health outcomes, not just fitness or performance. So the question we should be asking is, how is this different than the standard way we look at, more formalized exercise? And does it always have to be a situation of comparison or better, or just understanding how this can be applied in a different context that might suit a better population? So to make that plain, exercise snacks are really good for sedentary populations. And a lot of the research is done on that, whether it's hypertension or pre-hypertension, whether it's individuals that have been sedentary and don't necessarily work out. These brief moments of, interspersed lifestyle, physical activity go a long way. They call that VILPA. Now people want to say, oh, this is just better than a long workout or a standardized workout. No, what it does is it makes sure your floor, if you normally work out like the way you're describing, doesn't drop exceedingly when you're busy and then still has beneficial health outcomes.
Yes.
And then what can it do? It makes you more likely, right, to then stick with your fitness if you're somebody who already works out, because what didn't happen? Your fitness didn't drop a lot. The other end of who I think we're ignoring are people that do not feel comfortable necessarily going to the gym. They think if they don't have enough time, it doesn't matter what they do. And then they have increased chances of dying because we've essentially ignored them. So the question becomes, can we improve that population's health? And the research is showing that we can. So take, for instance, this. How much time do you think it would take in your day to reduce your chance of death or cardiovascular issues, cancer, whatever? If I just say to you, give me a number of minutes that if I ask you to do relatively vigorous or moderate intensity, interspersed lifestyle, physical activity outside of the gym, how many minutes would you think you need to do?
The first thing that comes to mind is probably what I've heard from doctors, where it's 150 minutes a week, or you'll hear like an hour a day kind of thing.
Yes. There's a large study done. I think the average age, it may have been out of the UK. There's been one done in 2022 and maybe just this year. Average age is probably about 60 years old, sedentary populations. This is often a population we ignore. 4.4 minutes of VILPA. VILPA is basically just exercise snacks in a different way. Vigorous, interspersed lifestyle, physical activity.
Yes.
For sedentary populations, VILPA has a similar response to VIPA, which is a standard vigorous physical activity that people would normally do in the gym. They saw 4.4 minutes of this versus people who did none. It reduced significantly chances of death, cancer, all of this. So what's VILPA, right? People are like, what are you talking about? Like, what does this mean? What's VILPA? So that just means like rushing, essentially.
Right.
Brief, intersperse, lifestyle, vigorous activity, right? So I could be rushing to walk to the bus very fast. I could take, which is one of the big exercise snack studies, I could take 3 flights of stairs very quickly 3 times a day, right? 60 steps, maybe give or take, right? It's like, what are those small things that I could, when I'm food shopping, I could briskly walk down the aisle.
Yes.
And you're going to tell me if I do that for 4.4 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, interspersed throughout my whole day, that could reduce my chance of dying.
And you're saying yes.
Yes.
That's amazing. What I love about this is it feels so accessible to do that versus going to the gym and spending that hour. And I hear what you're saying in that it's not wrong or better than doing that. But for a lot of people who are sedentary or they're sitting all day at their desk or they're traveling and commuting, even just integrating a little bit of intense movement, this idea of rushing into their day can transform their lives.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do high knees in the morning for 30 seconds.
Yes.
Right?
Jumping jacks.
Jumping jacks.
Holding a plank, that type of thing? Or
I
now
would
we're
still
moving
say-
away from...
No, that goes back to sedentary, right? So holding a
Okay.
plank can still help. Basically, there is a thought process of how we evolved if you need your core strength to stay up, right?
Yes.
So if you have good core strength, that probably will improve, decrease your chances of frailty later in life,
Okay.
which then, one of the highest chances of death, especially as you get older, is falls. So core is very important, but it's
Yeah.
looking at that in different components, right? So we have the vigorous, we have the little snacks just to kind of maintain our health or strength. We have the strength snacks, which still can help, stretching snacks, which can still help improve our mobility and flexibility. Breathing snacks help the parasympathetic nervous system. The overall point here is not to think of it as a protocol or a hack.
Yeah.
It's to understand that small doses go a long way for health and then build on top of that. So if I told you that there's something you could do for 5 to 10 minutes of your day that can improve the next 6 to 8 hours of your day and then your life overall, would you do it?
100%.
Yeah. So and what are
Absolutely.
the different ways you could do that, right? So you could have an exercise snack in the morning, charge you up, VILPA. You could have an exercise snack before bed that's focused in breathing and stretching. What does that do? Parasympathetic nervous system activation, better sleep for the next 8 hours. And then we know that sleep is one of the most important kind of things as it relates to recovery for humans. So that's what it's like a design system. It's like you try to talk to people about how to introduce it in a way that's not overwhelming, and then they see it adds up.
Oh, one thing that a lot of people get caught up in when it comes to exercise and moving their body is the length of time it takes for them to see the results. And getting very focused as well on how it's impacting their appearance. But really, we know that exercise and movement has so many benefits: improving your mood, increasing energy, improving your sleep. How can we use different exercise snacks to essentially help curate our mood, our energy levels throughout the day?
Yeah, it's a good question. And then it goes back to the health aesthetics kind of thought process. And, what's also sometimes good for aesthetics isn't good for health and that type of thing. But when you're looking at it, there's one question I'm going to ask you, right? The time's going to pass anyway. So why not just use it constructively with what you have available? And then exercise usually is a catalyst for, say, improved sleep or better ways for utilizing the nutrients you put in your body.
I just want people to try it.
Exactly.
And feel the difference, because when something is pleasurable and feels good, that helps us build a new habit around it.
Yes.
One of the things that I love that you talk about is habit stacking, essentially, as a way of bringing movement snacks into your everyday routine.
Yep.
So I can imagine somebody's going throughout their day-to-day life and they're in their patterns that they're in. And so integrating something like this, it could just get forgotten. They like the idea while they hear us talking about it right now. What are some ways that can help this stick with individuals?
Yeah, I mean, probably everybody knows, James Clear, Atomic Habits, made the habit stacking concept popular, so shout out to him. But yeah, I look at it like this. Like there's small windows in your day that you always have these opportunities. For me, it was big as I got out of college to create morning routines. And it's like a Maui principle for me. It's like, okay, I know that I'll trade something out. So instead of picking up my phone, I say to myself, okay, I'm going to take 5 deep breaths. And then I say, okay, I'm going to do 10 push-ups before I go in the shower, 10 jumping jacks, this type of thing. So basically the easiest way to stack it is, what are the non-negotiables relatively in your morning?
Yes.
For some people, it's the coffee. For some people, it's the shower. I'm a morning and night shower guy, so it's both. Other people is reading the paper, whatever. And then it's like, okay, I have 60 seconds here and there to be able to do these things, right? So while the coffee is brewing or the tea kettle is on and the water's boiling,
yes,
quick stretches, quick balance drills, this type of thing. You're brushing your teeth, stand on one foot. You're cleaning a little bit. That's what I do. I didn't like to clean, but I like to exercise. So I said, I'm going to do 10 lunges, then I'm going to sweep. And
you're planking with your mop as you go along the floor.
And you in the crib, nobody going to make fun of you. Like you in your house, you're already doing weird stuff.
Totally.
So that's what I think about. It's like, okay, what are the things I know I have to do each day that are just part of the routine? And let me attach a little exercise snack onto that, and then feel better. Like Netflix and chill. Like I watch TV. People are always surprised, but when I'm watching Netflix, I'll go down, do a couple exercises, couch stretch, whatever. I'm watching the game, that type of thing. Yes. So it becomes naturally integrated into my behaviors.
And the more you move, the more you crave it. So sometimes it is about getting that ball started, and then you find that you're sitting, and with time you notice my energy's going down, or I'm not thinking as clearly, and you'll feel with time more motivated to get up and, as you said, do high knees or do some burpees or do some jumping
pump
jacks.
Your calves, like little things. Do wrist rolls. Take deep breath. Like for instance, when you're sending emails, some people get email apnea, right? Which is basically they hold their breath, they get more stressed out. Pump your calves, rotate your wrists, extend your legs, do little partial squats, that type of thing. Blue collar workers, more at a time. Sometimes you need a little bit more stress reduction. They're already on their feet a lot, but they riled up. So exercise snacks also are just like the little breathing snacks. But the other way to go about it, and this what throws people off. People think I love to work out. It's not always loving. You're not going to fall. If you don't like exercise, it's all right. I'm not asking you to fall in love with it. I'm presenting this so logically to you.
Yes.
In the lowest common denominator.
Yes.
That you have to do mental gymnastics to ignore this and not do it. It's not that hard to ignore. Somebody, if somebody says to you, oh, what are you doing? You're just lazy. Just get to the gym. Go work out for an hour. Nah, there's a lot of mental hurdles and excuses that are legitimate. But if I say to you, hey, if you work out for 5 minutes, 2 to 3 times a day in the comfort of your home, and I will teach you how to do that because I want you to feel good. You can't ignore that. And if you ignore that, that one is on you. So I just try to approach it not in this overly soft life way, but really this thought process of like, look, you don't got to love it, but at the end of the day, it has benefits. And there's a lot of other things that you do that you don't love, but it works for you.
Yes.
So let me flip that.
You brush your teeth.
Yes.
You brush your teeth. You eat some food.
Yes.
Yeah, we just go through those motions. They're ingrained at that point. I want to jump back to something you said that just really stuck out. You said there are often these mental hurdles that people have when it comes to movement, and realistically, they show up in every area of life. What are some of the most common mental hurdles, or I hesitate to call them excuses, but excuses that come up for people?
So the funny thing about excuses, one of my really good friends, late friends, what used to always say within the first no, there's always some sort of yes. So with excuses, actually, excuses are legitimate things that you haven't taken time to fully deep dive into to understand how you turn it into essentially an advantage. So you create a constraint through your excuse.
Yes.
So the easiest way to think about that is like, what is your often excuse? Oh, I don't have enough time, right? But really you're highlighting a limitation, which is, oh, I think that short workouts wouldn't have enough benefit of me to do, and I wouldn't know what to do anyway, so I won't do it.
Right.
So then turn that into a constraint, which is a positive constraint, which then says, because I know I don't have enough time, none of my workouts will be longer than 15 minutes. Now you have an individualized beneficial constraint for you that you can then design something that will work out to your advantage for best results, and then you can figure out the best way to get it done.
Ooh, I love that.
Instead of listening to other people. So every excuse that you have in anything, whether it's exercise, diet, whatever. What's another one as it relates to kind of exercise. Oh, I don't like to work out. What's the actual limitation there? It's, oh, I have not been introduced to enough activities that I find joy in.
Yes.
What's the individual positive constraint you would create from that? Every time I work out over the next month, I will not do 2 of the same workouts in a row. And I will support whatever local businesses for different activities so I can meet new people and try new things to figure out what I like. So that's what I'm saying. Through every excuse, dive into it a little bit. Like, what's that personal limitation that you have? And then within that, you could probably figure out ways to work around that are beneficial for you instead of getting lost in all the noise.
I love that so much. I've thought those things myself. I don't have enough time. I'm not going to get the results that I want. I don't want anyone to see me getting started at this. I'm a beginner right now,
that's a good one.
and that's embarrassing.
Do it in the crib.
Right? We all have our barriers and things that come up for us. But what I love about what you're talking about today with these exercise snacks is that they do feel so accessible. For anyone who's listening right now, I'm guessing that there is a pretty big chance that you're sitting down.
Yep.
What can you walk us through right now? A quick 4-minute exercise snack that individuals can do while they're listening to us.
Yeah, I mean, first off, is like, I always like to ask the kind of stupid question, which people are too embarrassed to ask. Why would we even want to break that up? What's the problem with sitting? You know what I mean? So then it's like, okay, we take a step back, then tell people what's up with that. It was basically like a few different things happen when you're sedentary. Your immune system gets a little less active. There's certain enzymes and proteins that aren't being released. Aren't being released or drop in numbers, right? So you're not utilizing, like, say, fat or different fuels as efficiently. And so what do we want to do? We just want to refresh the body and get blood pumping, because when we contract our muscles, what happens? Certain signaling molecules that wake our body up, right? So when you're sitting, what's the second heart in the body, right? Is the calves. So when we're sitting, basically, and this is why you don't want to sit long on planes, you could just pump your feet. Pump your toes.
What? The second heart is the calves?
The second heart in the body are the calves.
Come again?
Yeah, so there's a natural pump in the lower half of your body. So reason why we don't want blood to pool there. So when you're on an airplane, why do they tell you to get up?
I mean, I've never thought about this before.
Exactly.
My mind is blown. I'm also like, I think I have the weakest calf muscles.
So
I got to work these babies.
Right? So you got those contracting.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
And then you could just do that. You could do 20, 30 pumps.
We're bouncing our legs right now. You can bounce. You could kind of lift one heel, then lift the other heel.
Exactly.
And then
you could extend
bop
the
them right
legs
back
a little
and forth.
bit if you want. Get those moving.
Extending the legs.
You got strong quads, right? And then what's the biggest muscle in your body? It's the glutes. So you could kind of push up from your chair slightly without fully standing up, pushing through your feet. You get your glutes engaged, your whole lower half.
This is the kind of squat that I like. We're sitting and squatting,
it works,
everyone.
Though. It works.
Yeah,
I can feel that. If you want to fully
that.
stand up, do it. But then you can just lift your arms in the air.
Okay.
Move those, shrug through the shoulders a little bit, right? Because our spine is important. We can rotate our shoulders left to right. And then what's the barrier to entry that's removed? You don't look like a weirdo. Like, we're not asking you to get up and do high knees in the middle of an airport or your office. We're just sitting and say, take some deep breaths, shrug those shoulders out, rotate the spine, give a nice little sigh. Your coworker will probably want to join you.
Honestly, I think it's contagious. And I have to say at this point, Joe, like, I don't care about looking like a weirdo. I will be in an airport and be doing squats and lunges while I'm
Airports are dystopian.
waiting.
You know, people are drinking at 7 a.m.
There's so much going
the
on
line
there.
of Shake Shacks out the door. You can do whatever you want in airports.
Yes. But you know what? Whatever it is wherever it is that you find joy in movement, maybe it's putting on some amazing music and dancing around your place, or doing squats, or running up and down your stairs, or taking your dog for a walk. Remember that if you are moving your body even for 4.5 minutes a day with some intensity, with some invigoration, that you are giving yourself massive benefits, not only for the way that you feel physically, but your mood, your mental health, your emotional well-being. And I just want everyone to try this right now so that you can experience it in your own body. It's always one thing to listen to somebody talk about something, but to really feel it in your own life is a whole nother thing.
Yeah, I mean, embrace it. You know, make movement a movement is my saying. So I think the more, if you look at it through a spiritual lens, a true health lens, whatever, every kind of religion tells you to ground through your body first, embodiment. And then we see one of our main senses is interoception. Our awareness of our bodily movement creates well-being.
Yes.
So my thought process is you deserve to feel good. Just do it because it kind of can feel good and not always for some future facing outcome. Because the future is nothing more than the present moment arriving. And if we ignore that constantly, what's the point? Then you just kind of move through the motions. So move through positive emotions through these snacks. And, you know, I do think they will be of huge benefit, and research tends to back it up.
All right, Joe, our audience has written in with some amazing questions for you. This is what we call our Ask Me Anything portion of the show.
Love
Ready?
it. Yeah, it's like Sports Center.
Okay. Question 1. My work days are typically packed with back-to-back meetings where I barely have time to eat lunch, let alone move. When I get home, I'm so wiped. I just want to eat dinner, watch a show, go to bed. What's the easiest way to motivate myself to do exercise snacks every day?
Just think a little bit every day goes a long way, and then think about how to structure it. So in the morning, you know, if you have meetings all day, then the morning's probably a little bit more under your control. Do something that will give you a little bit more energy for your meetings. So probably 5 minutes of more higher intensity movement, maybe like stretching, that type of thing. Then go through your day. Don't judge yourself for not being able to move during your day. If you can sneak in a walk, go take a few flights of stairs. Have a little bit of try to schedule 5 minutes in between your meetings. So if you're in back-to-back meetings all the time, you're probably a little bit of a bigwig. So you might be able to, you know, flex that schedule. And then when you're home, this sounds counterintuitive, but there's a difference between kind of like true fatigue that's just perceived versus perceived. And a lot of the times your nervous system is so riled up from your day that you haven't created an kind of an off-board ramp for your day and an on-board ramp into sleep. So then if you could do 5 to 10 minutes of breathing, light stretching, more lower intensity work, so we don't kind of like spike any cortisol or anything like that, and then you probably will end up getting better sleep, will create that dynamic feedback loop. So that's about 10 to 15 minutes a day that'll make your 24 hours a lot better.
I often think there's 2 types of fatigue. There's the fatigue where you are ready for sleep and you really need that rest. And then there's fatigue that almost comes from being stagnant in your day. How can someone differentiate between what type of fatigue they have?
That's a really good question. So basically, I guess you're kind of wired and tired type of energy versus like actually being kind of, you know, just need to go to sleep. I think the easiest way to decide is it's a little bit of a qualitative thought process, but, you know, ask yourself, like, am I actually sleepy or am I a little bit riled up? How is my heart rate right now? Do I feel stressed? That type of thing. And then either take 5 deep breaths or just kind of go for a quick couple-minute walk and see if it shifts in any way. So that's kind of the thought process. A lot of people end up feeling tired but can't really go to bed. And usually means, you know, your nervous system's a little bit too charged up.
Oh, okay. So if you're somebody who feels tired, but you have trouble sleeping at night, you can help regulate your nervous system with some exercise snacks to just kind of help you move into that rest digest response.
Yes.
And improve your sleep while getting some movement.
Yeah.
Okay. Question 2. I'm in the office 5 days a week, and while I want to stay active, I'm not sure how to pull off exercise snacks without getting looks from my coworkers. Any recommendations on how to not be the weird person?
I mean, sometimes I see embrace your idiosyncrasies, but think about it like this. You're in the office 5 days a week. You're probably a weekend warrior type. So try to get 1 or 2 longer workouts in during the weekend. And then the week is about stabilizing. If you don't want to get weird looks, it's just kind of just get up and go somewhere else. So go take the stairs. The easiest look. Very good study that came out was basically they've done this protocol multiple times, which basically they took people that were relatively sedentary and they had 3 breaks during the day of essentially about 60 steps, kind of relatively max effort, 3 flights of stairs. So just go take the stairs. Just go take brisk walk up the stairs. Nobody's going to look at you any differently. But then when you're sitting, simple things underneath a desk, calf pumps, wrist rolls, shoulder sweeps and rotations.
Yes.
You don't have to get carried away with things like, you know, jumping jacks or high knees. But what you can do is utilize locomotion. And so if you're walking through the office, just walk quickly or just do little quick bursts. And that is just, nobody's going to bat an eye.
I love this. So you can go and do stairs. You can do some movement at your desk. I'm also going to give you a permission slip to just be weird.
Yeah.
And I bet that you will find in doing it that you actually inspire somebody else in your space to join you at some point or another. But we can work up to that.
Or if you get the elevator by yourself, that's where you kind of do those body weight movements.
Yes. Okay, next question. I'm working out 4 to 5 times a week, and on some days I feel pretty sore. Should I still do exercise snacks on those days?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in like tissue flossing. So on those days that you feel sore, a lot of the times it's just teaching your body and moving through different planes of motion to let your body know that it's okay and to be able to work through that soreness. And then getting blood to these sore tissues can help improve nutrient delivery and for some people decrease DOMS or delayed onset muscle soreness.
Okay.
So the exercise snacks don't have to be intense, especially if you're already working out, but think it more so as like, light stretching or light cardio moments that just get the blood flowing and then maintaining, proper ranges of motion.
Okay. Last question here. I've been trying exercise snacks for a few weeks to boost my mood and energy, but I'm not really sure I'm feeling or seeing the benefits just yet. What should I do to really start to notice the difference, and how long should it take?
Yeah, I would say one, be patient. For every person, it's a little bit different, but we do see sometimes that, especially if you are just starting to work out, not having them be too intense at first actually might have a little bit more benefit. But the other way that I say is to actually use it to both work on heart rate reserve, which is like how fast you can get your heart rate drop back down, but also to shift between that sympathetic to parasympathetic nervous state. So if you really want it for improved energy and mood, you really want to make yourself more resilient to stress. So I would say do 15 seconds of something that's a little bit more intense.
Yes.
So high knees, mountain climbers, whatever. And then for the next 45 seconds, focus on your breathing. Do a resonance breath, which is basically keep your breath to about 6 breaths a minute. So basically do a box breathing, 4-second inhale, 4-second hold, 4-second exhale, 4-second hold. Or just make your exhale a little bit longer than your inhale.
Yes.
And then go back to the exercise, right? And do that for like 5 rounds, maybe 10 rounds, so 5 to 10 minutes. And basically what you've created is quick heart rate spikes, then letting your body know that it's okay. And that stress resilience for a lot of people, or lack thereof, is why a lot of people are so fatigued. So that is kind of a quick kind of trick that I've been able to utilize and shared with others that has created some benefit.
I love that. And to add to what you've said, I would say that remembering that change takes time.
That's
We can experience the benefits of a boosted mood or a little bit more clarity in thinking in the moment. But true lasting change takes time, and it's often right before you start to notice the change and the benefits that a lot of people give up. So just keep going. How long have you been moving your body and focused on nutrition for?
I mean, I just turned 35, so I guess 35 years. But
It
I'm
doesn't
lucky.
happen overnight.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, there's 2 things. One, I grew up in a household that prioritized that. I was a premature kid. I'm not supposed to be here. Every day a gift.
Really?
Yeah, I was like supposed to die. So every day's a gift.
Wow.
And then the other side of it was when I was dealing with intense injuries in college, that hit me so intensely emotionally and mentally. So I realized what it was like to be on that other side. And yeah, that thought process of prioritizing it because I've seen the other side, but also understanding that it is not, I'm sorry, I'm very analytical this way. It is not logical to not do it. So basically I don't negotiate with myself because I can't legitimize not doing it. And I also can't legitimize doing things too overly aggressive.
Right.
So my thought process is try to operate on autopilot, create that consistent subconscious priming, and then realize, again, a little bit every day doesn't go a long way. But if I was talking to myself as a stranger and that stranger was giving me the excuse that we often give ourselves for why we don't do things that are beneficial to us, how would we look at that person? And that's basically called self-distancing. And I said to myself, I look at it 3 ways, right? You have I'm a sports guy. You have the general manager, you have the coach, and you have the athlete. And you have that triangle, shout out the old Bulls triangle offense. So I know that the general manager has these objectives. The coach has to be able to talk to the athlete to be able to get stuff done. And then I understand how I'm feeling in those 3 different spheres. So my thing had always become, it's like, if I self-distance and treat myself like a stranger that I love, and since I know more about myself, then I'll be able to talk to myself more personally. How can I legitimize not doing these things for this person that I love? And it's under my control. I can't, I just can't, it just makes no sense. So that's kind of how I operate in my life the best way that I can. Of course I have slip ups and all that, but
You're human.
get back on the saddle. Lead with love. That's truly what I believe in every component of my life.
Lead with love. I also heard I don't negotiate with myself. And I love that because I do think that there's a lot of negotiating happening with a lot of people. And so really understanding in your own life, what are the health and wellness pillars that are most important? What are the ones that are most accessible with? And then not leaving a lot of room for that negotiating. We just get started.
Lowest common denominator. It doesn't have to be algebra, calculus, or trig. It could be simple arithmetic. And if you get those fundamentals, then you could build later. But if you still just stick with the fundamentals, you'll have positive outcomes. So I don't care if you got to count on your fingers. I don't care if you got to break out the TI-83 calculator, shout out high school. There's different things that you could do. Get to the lowest common denominator and say, this is the thing that I'm going to do. And if I want to go further, I will. But I know I at least have this established baseline, and it will create positive results.
All right, everyone. 4.5 minutes a day, exercise, snacks, get going. Let's do this. Joe, thank you so much for joining us on Care Experts.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Hey there, don't leave yet. Just wanted to say, if you want to hear more about health and wellness, check out these episodes of Care Experts. Also, before you go, make sure you like and subscribe. New episodes drop every Wednesday.